off at our number 10 spot, we have Taylor with an E. Last year, near the end of the year, Taylor with an E posted a TikTok and then kind of ghosted the app for a while, and it had people super freaked out and wondering what happened. The video was of her in Germany, where she is not from, and there were some mysterious sounds from outside of the room that she was in. She was clearly really freaked out in the video, and when she stopped posting after, people began to speculate that something terrible might have happened to her. She commented a few times on her own video explaining that her sister had told her to never open the door for anyone in the area that they were in, and also that she was home alone for the next 2 hours, which obviously made her stressful situation even scarier. Well, we eventually heard from Taylor again, thank goodness, and while she hasn't actually addressed what happened to her on TikTok, it's good to know that she is safe. There is a rumor that people may have actually ended up breaking into the house and that maybe she isn't allowed to speak about it if there's an investigation going on, but that has yet to be confirmed. In our number 9 spot today, we have Elle. The TikTok user SigsFR, whose name is Elle, gave her followers a huge scare earlier this year. Elle posted a video on TikTok of her bruised body, saying that she had been kidnapped. She said that she didn't know exactly where she was, but knew that she was somewhere in Arkansas. In the comments of a video, she said that she knew the man that had kidnapped her and that his last name was Colarelli. And people on TikTok began contacting the Arkansas police. Elle also said that she would not be posting any more videos on TikTok because she said that she knew the man was about to take her life. People were absolutely freaking out and blowing the story up. People suspected the man she said is her kidnapper to be her ex-boyfriend, and people were also saying that she was using Morse code messages. Elle said that she couldn't call the police because her kidnapper would be able to hear the call, and this was the first red flag for people since there's a ton of ways to contact the authorities. The next red flag was the fact that Elle posted her Venmo, and people actually started donating. To get to the end of this story, basically the Arkansas State Police did end up investigating to find out what was going on, and they actually ended up finding Elle. It turns out she faked the whole thing. They haven't released a ton of details on exactly what was going on, but Elle has stopped posting on TikTok, which is probably the right move for now. I feel really bad for the people who were worried and who sent her money. In our number 8 spot today, we have LaCarica McNeil. Last year, 11-year-old Memphis resident LaCarica was reported missing. She was last seen on a weekend morning leaving her home and hadn't made any contact with her mom after that, which is obviously a great cause for concern because she's so young. She had apparently left her home with an older man that she had met on TikTok, which really just heightened the urgency of the case. The police description that was released after her disappearance said that she was last seen wearing a shirt with hearts on it and that she was just 4 feet 3 inches and only 55 pounds. This really paints a picture for just how small and potentially helpless she may have been. This investigation ended up prompting the question, how safe is TikTok really? In an amazing turn of events, LaCarica ended up being found and returned safe and sound, which is truly the best outcome for this really scary situation. I'm so glad that she ended up being okay and that this story has a happy ending. In our number 7 spot today, we have Arlene Martinez. Earlier this year, a TikTok user was away from the platform for a while, but it wasn't long before fans found out what happened and it was all over the news. A 20-year-old TikToker named Arlene was filming a video for the platform that was supposed to depict a fake kidnapping. The video was a larger production with at least 10 people involved in the filming on this day. Arlene was tied to a chair and was acting out a scene in which she was struggling with the people who had fake kidnapped her. In a really sad turn of events, for some unknown reason, a loaded handgun was used as a prop in the video, and it ended up firing, shooting and killing Arlene. There was actually a video posted of what the scene was like before this fatal moment. There has been a Facebook memorial page set up for people who love and miss her to go and share their memories with others. Moving on to our number 6 spot. Okay, so this one is about a person who posts on TikTok, but they are more successful on Vigo Vigo, which is an extremely similar app that is made by the same creators of TikTok. Earlier this year in January, a 21-year-old TikToker and Vigo star who goes by the name Jasmine on the apps went missing from Delhi, where she had traveled to for a performance. Jasmine's husband filed a missing persons report on January 7th. He said that she had left on December 31st for the performance and her phone was switched off on December 2nd and no one had heard from her since. Police quickly began their investigation and news began to spread of her disappearance. 10 days after the husband had filed the missing persons report, we finally heard some news. Jasmine actually ended up resurfacing and told a local channel that she had to run away because her husband and family-in-law tortured her. She said she never disappeared and that if you checked her husband's phone records, you would see that they had been in contact. This story is so crazy and has so many twists and turns in it. I'm really glad that Jasmine was able to get herself out of a dangerous situation and then she ended up being okay. Moving on to number 5 and our halfway mark. This story is a little bit different but is super interesting. In 2016, a woman came home to find that her husband had left the house that they shared with their 2 children. She tried as hard as she could to find him but was never able to find out where he went. She even filed the missing persons report with the police, but to no avail. Fast forward 3 years later to 2019 and a family relative thinks that she spots the husband in a video on TikTok. She of course quickly forwards it to the wife for confirmation. After watching the TikTok, she realizes that it is her husband and shows it to the police right away. The police ended up being able to track him down and confirm that it really was him. It's so crazy how the For You page literally helped solve a missing persons case. Moving on to number 4. In July of last year, 2 teenagers attempted an extremely dangerous TikTok video. Danish and Ashik were out for an evening walk when they arrived at a bridge. On the bridge was a group of people around their age who were performing different kinds of stunts and tricks to film for TikToks. The boys decided to join in on the fun and Danish ended up climbing onto the railing of the bridge before diving into the water below while Ashik filmed. After he captured the video, Ashik followed his friend and climbed over the railing to jump in the water as well. Danish ended up being rescued immediately by local divers who luckily just happened to be in the area, but unfortunately Ashik could not be located, even by the authorities once they were called. Lots of people tried to help in the search but were unsuccessful. It's really sad that what was supposed to be harmless fun turned into something so sad and so scary. Moving on to number 3. Okay. This one is a little different again, but I swear it is worth it because this story is pretty wild. Earlier this year, a group of teenagers were on a beach on Seattle to play around and shoot some TikToks. They ended up spotting something and went to investigate. Of course, documenting the whole thing on video to later be edited into a TikTok. As they approached, they realized that it was a suitcase and they thought that there might be money inside. As they got closer to the suitcase, they realized it smelled super bad. One girl ended up opening up the suitcase and it shows something wrapped in a garbage bag. This is when the teens rightfully decided to call the police before investigating any further. The police came and searched the whole area and found another bag as well. It turns out that the bags actually contained 2 bodies. This is where the police investigation began and shortly after led police to the killer. The bodies were identified as couple Jessica Lewis and Austin Wenner, and it turns out that their landlord was responsible for their deaths. I guess it was some dispute over unpaid rent, which is really not a good enough reason to kill people. I'm glad these teens did the right thing and called the police so that justice could be brought for the families of the victims. In our number 2 spot today, we have Anna Maskovich, aka Ref Batch. For the last 10 years, Anna has uploaded upwards of 20 videos a day to YouTube and ended up joining TikTok when it became available. Her videos tend to be a bit bizarre and are either her angrily rambling in an unintelligible mixture of Russian and English that has people who are fluent in both absolutely stumped as to what she is saying. There are a few phrases that people have been able to make out that are along the lines of her being angry at and afraid of the government, as well as being afraid of being kidnapped. The other videos she uploads are her interpretive dancing, usually in the woods and looking directly into the camera. There's a dancer who has the same name as her and her performances stopped sometime in late 2008, but there aren't any photos to verify that it's the same person for sure. People began to speculate that she may have some form of schizophrenia, but of course that's just an internet diagnosis. In 2014, someone who claimed to be her husband, who had other videos of her, explained that Anna had actually been missing after she had been taken away for speaking poorly of the Russian government. He said that she had been taken to some sort of psychiatric institute where they gave her psychotropic drugs in order to make her stop speaking out about the government. Well, this has yet to be proven for sure. It is a pretty crazy story and kind of insane to know that while he's missing his wife, he sees all of these videos of her. I hope we get a concrete answer to this someday because there really is a lot going on. There's a lot more to this story that I don't have time to cover, but the YouTuber Atrocity Guide has an amazing video on all of it that I would highly recommend you guys go and check out after you're done watching this video. In our number 1 spot today, we have Sarah Turney. Okay. So, this one isn't a TikToker who went missing, but it is a missing persons case that TikTok helped close the case on, so please don't get mad at me because it is really interesting. Sarah Turney was 12 years old when her 17-year-old sister Alyssa went missing. This happened on May 17, 2001, and ever since that day, Sarah has known that it was her dad, Michael, who was Alyssa's stepfather. There was never anyone charged with Alyssa's disappearance and presumed death, but Sarah just knew. Sarah began to post on TikTok as well as her website dedicated to the case, all of the evidence that she had pointing towards her dad. Things like the fact that he would follow her around and record her, and that there was at least one hidden camera inside of the house. Things like how he was the one who unexpectedly picked her up from school and was the last one to see her on that day. You know, just general uncomfortable, creepy things. Michael also kept changing his story about that day and night, which just adds another layer of suspicion. In an amazing turn of events, Sarah's voice was finally heard, and in August of this year, her father ended up being charged with second-degree. Sarah of course plans to attend every court hearing and every day of trial when it begins. I couldn't be happier for her, and I really hope that she sees justice. In our number 10 spot today, we have Jack Jelinski. In 2016, one half of musical duo Jack and Jack was arrested for shoplifting. He was arrested at the Los Angeles International Airport for apparently stealing a sweatshirt to which he claimed he just forgot to pay for. The owner of the shop didn't want to just let it go after he offered to pay for it, and even though having him arrested seemed like maybe it was a little much, I can understand how frustrated the shop owner must have been. Jack was released from custody shortly after being arrested, and the whole thing was made out to be a bit of a joke on social media. Hopefully this is the last time we see this kind of behavior from either one of the pair. In our number 9 spot today, we have Holly Piazza and Brian Chase, who are Rocco and Piazza Vlogs. Before I dive into this one, guys, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you're enjoying the video so far. This Californian couple found themselves in hot water in 2017 after a video they posted on YouTube was flagged for child endangerment. The video showed them driving around with their 8-year-old son and his nanny in the truck's bed filled with water-absorbent beads called Orbeez. The child Rocco and his nanny weren't secured in the truck, which is super dangerous, and had the parents cited for misdemeanor child endangerment. The couple also received a ticket due to the fact that some of the Orbeez fell into the road and down storm drains, and they were also charged for the cleanup. This was a super dangerous stunt that luckily didn't see anyone hurt, and hopefully the pair saw why this probably wasn't the best idea. In our number 8 spot today, we have Nathan Bartling, or My Mate Nate. Nathan was arrested on charges of trespassing as well as cruelty to animals. The trespassing charge comes from him trying to flatten coins on railroad tracks. People used to believe that this practice could derail trains, but since that is highly unlikely, the main concerns are the coin flying off the tracks and injuring someone, or the fact that many people trying to do this have unfortunately been hit by trains in the process. The animal cruelty charge comes from a video that has since been taken down where he tried to see if a cat could fly by tying some balloons to it, and in an even worse video he posed 2 cats to fight against a scorpion. Nathan is an American who is living in Thailand, which is where all of this questionable behavior is taking place. Since his arrest, there has been a petition started to see his visa revoked and have him removed from the country. In our number 7 spot today, we have Callum McSwiggan. In 2016, the openly gay British YouTuber was arrested for allegedly falsifying a police report. Callum was outside of a nightclub with friends one night when he was allegedly attacked by some men. Callum then was furious over being attacked and started damaging one of the man's cars. The police were called, and when they arrived, Callum had no visible injuries but had ripped the mirror off of the man's car. Police took Callum into custody, and while he was in a cell, he took a phone off the hook and began injuring himself with it in order to be sent to the hospital. He claimed that the self-inflicted injuries happened in the confrontation outside of the nightclub, but that obviously wasn't true. Callum since explained that he was feeling upset over the fact that he felt like his attack wasn't being taken seriously and felt like that was the only way to get out of his cell. In our number 6 spot today we have Pelichin Entertainment. Pelichin Entertainment, whose real name is Mateus, was a Chilean YouTuber who's known for his bizarre and surreal videos. In 2018, a video surfaced though that showed Mateus hurting his cat named Jason, which is so horrifying and awful. Another video later surfaced that showed the same type of thing, but this time with 2 kittens. In September of this year, his channel was finally removed from YouTube, which really is for the best. Since these videos came to light, there have been tons of stories of him hurting people in his life, and the outrage was so great that people began doxing him, which is when you put somebody's personal information, such as their address, on the internet. He has apparently sought help for his ongoing issues, but that has yet to be proven. In our number 5 spot today and at our halfway mark, we have Hero Alone. Hero Alone was arrested last year after he caused harm to his wife over a dowry. His wife said that he was away for 2 months, and while he was away, she heard a rumor that he had married someone else. When he returned home, he spent hours talking to another woman on the phone. She decided she had had enough and confronted him about it, and this is apparently when he got very angry and things turned physical. He was arrested in March of last year and ended up being sentenced to jail, but continued to plead his innocence, saying that he went from hero to zero. In our number 4 spot today we have Troll Station. Troll Station is a prank channel that went a little too far a few years ago. In July of 2015, the members of Troll Station faked an art gallery robbery at the National Portrait Gallery and the Tate Gallery. The stage robbery obviously caused a ton of panic to gallery goers and ended up causing a stampede as well as a ton of undue stress and anxiety. They ended up being arrested and charged in May of 2016 and were sentenced to jail terms for 12 to 20 weeks. They are all obviously out of jail now and continue to upload on YouTube. In our number 3 spot today we have Candy Johnson. Candy is a YouTuber who came under fire in 2010. Candy headed off on a business trip, leaving her 12-year-old son at home alone. The police were called to the house after a neighbor saw 2 young boys throwing some items that were lit on fire over the fence. It turns out that Candy's son had a friend over, and the two found supplies to make a makeshift flamethrower and began lighting things on fire. Luckily, no one was injured since things could have been way worse. When the police arrived, they said the house was in horrible condition with dishes and food remnants laid everywhere. The boys' friends' parents said that the boys told them that Candy was just at the store but would be returning home soon. Candy said that she thought her neighbor who was hiking was with her son because apparently that's what the plan was. Candy also ended up being charged not too long after this for educational neglect, to which she pleaded guilty. In our number 2 spot we have Nina Santiago, or Nina Unrated. In 2015, Nina Santiago, whose real name is Denise, was arrested after a SWAT standoff. Police were originally called to investigate some sort of domestic dispute between her and her former boyfriend. Apparently, Nina pointed a gun at her boyfriend and told him to get out of her house. Once the standoff had begun, Nina was refusing to let her son out of the apartment, but luckily authorities ended up convincing her to do so. The standoff lasted for 6 hours before Nina surrendered, and she was then arrested for child endangerment as well as being arrested for pointing a gun at someone. Before she came out of her home, she recorded a video that she posted to her YouTube page where she blamed her ex-husband and her family for the position she was in, but that video was quickly removed from YouTube. In our number 1 spot we have Vitaly ZDTV. Where do I even start with this one? Well, in 2014 he was arrested for running onto the field during the FIFA World Cup final. In May of 2016 he was arrested for trespassing after he climbed the Hollywood sign.
Vitaly Zadovoreski scaled the 45-foot letter D of the Hollywood sign.
Back to our breaking news. A man believed to be a YouTube prankster has climbed the Hollywood sign.
And then, in the same year, in June, he was arrested for streaking during Game 4 of the NBA Finals. wish that this was it. He was arrested for running on the field at the World Series after a home run. Is anyone else seeing a trend here? Okay, you get the idea. He's been arrested a lot for his crazy stunts, and everything we just talked about is truly only half of his criminal history, but things took a pretty dark and aggressive turn for the prankster. In April of this year, Vitaly was arrested and charged for battery. He apparently just attacked a woman who was jogging for absolutely no reason. He ended up being released on bond, but I hope that woman sees some justice served soon, because at some point he really does need to realize that there are consequences for his actions. I hope the woman who is jogging has been able to recover from her injuries and is feeling better. Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have Mona Lisa Perez. Mona Lisa is a YouTuber who used to post makeup and fashion vlogs, but now makes videos more focused on her family and her children. On June 26, 2017, Mona Lisa and her boyfriend Pedro Ruiz set out to make an extremely dangerous video. They decided that they would put a really thick encyclopedia on his chest, and Mona Lisa would shoot a gun at the book. They were expecting the book to be thick enough to stop the bullet, but unfortunately this was a grave miscalculation. The bullet ended up going straight through the book, and Pedro passed away shortly after. Mona Lisa was arrested immediately, and talk began to swirl about who was to blame. In the end, it was decided that both of them played a role in this terrible day. Mona Lisa was sentenced on December 19th, 2017 to only 6 months in prison after she pleaded guilty to the charges. She has since served her time and will remain on probation for the next 10 years, as well as receiving a lifetime ban from owning a firearm. She continues to make YouTube videos now with 42,000 subscribers, but tends to get about 80% dislikes on her videos. In our number 9 spot today, we have Valdrox Studio. But before I dive into this one, please don't forget to like this video because it really helps us out. Valdrox was a YouTuber who is known for his animated characters. He was quickly controversial for his not safe for work content, and the fact that he stole a lot of his content from other artists, as well as the fact that he was apparently pretending to be a teenage girl in the beginning while he was actually a man in his 20s. On April 11th, 2019, the man behind Valdrox, named David Alejandro Pascal Argueta, was arrested after the Guatemalan police raided his home. He was arrested for receiving and selling photos of girls. He would bait people into sending him photos using the guise of collaboration. In December of 2019, he faced trial for his atrocious crimes and received a sentence of 3 years and 5 months. Unfortunately, there is a law that gives people who have been sentenced to less than 5 years the option to pay a sum of money instead of actually serving time. It is pretty upsetting that money got him out of having to actually go to jail, but he has been banned from the internet, which is most certainly for the best. In our number 8 spot today, we have Jay Station. Jay is a Canadian YouTuber who is known for his fake prank videos. He's extremely controversial because of the type of content that he posts. He has been arrested quite a few times and has even deleted his channel in the past before starting a new one. Earlier this year, Jay decided to post a video where he claimed that his girlfriend had died. This was untrue and just an idea used to garner attention and gain sympathy subscribers. Later, the Toronto police showed up at Jay's house to arrest him after that same girlfriend had accused him of a with a weapon. Jay has since been released and has begun uploading on YouTube again with the same girlfriend. The pair has claimed to have reconciled their differences, and let's hope that this is the end of Jay Station controversies. In our number 7 spot, we have VJP Nair. VJ was a YouTuber who was arrested in September for posting videos that allegedly contained extremely derogatory remarks about women. Apparently, prior to his arrest, he was actually attacked by a group of women activists who took his phone and laptop to hand over to the police. His channel has since become private since the police need to review all of its content in order to conduct their investigation. There's a lot of bizarre stuff going on in this case, like his potentially false claims to be a film director as well as a teacher, and a potentially fake PhD that he claims he has in clinical psychology. He is still under investigation at the moment, but he is facing 5 years in prison if he is found guilty. In our number 6 spot today, we have Ahmad and Zinab Hassan. The Egyptian YouTube couple are known for their comedy videos and vlogs and quickly gained success. The pair recently recently welcomed their first child, who they quickly began adding to their videos. Once they began to include their daughter in the videos, people began to get upset over the fact that it really did seem like the baby didn't want to be involved. There was a video where the child was clearly unhappy being posed for it, and was crying uncontrollably while the pair just laughed and didn't really do anything to comfort the obviously upset child. There was a video that ended up being the final straw for a lot of people when it showed Zainab with dark paint on her face, which is already upsetting and derogatory enough, but she then clearly terrifies the child, who's again crying with what she has just deemed as a prank. The pair has since been arrested and is being investigated for child endangerment, as well as violating Article 96 of Egyptian law, which protects children from threatening situations. They haven't been officially charged yet, but could be facing life sentences, depending on what the official charges ended up being. In our number 5 spot today, we have Alex and Alan Stokes. The twin YouTubers are known for their prank videos, but last year a video they uploaded has caused quite a stir for the two. Last October, they uploaded a video that was supposed to be a bank robbery prank. They called an Uber and they got in wearing black outfits and ski masks and had large duffel bags and pretended like they had just robbed a bank. The Uber driver rightfully denied to take them anywhere, and a witness thought that the boys were carjacking the Uber driver, and they called the police. Once police arrived on the scene, they approached the Uber driver with their guns drawn. This poor, unsuspecting Uber driver really didn't deserve to be caught up in all of this. Apparently, shortly after this incident, the boys did a similar prank at the University of California's Irvine campus, where police were called again. They were originally let off with a warning, but they have since been charged with false imprisonment as well as falsely reporting an emergency, which could see them each receiving a 4-year sentence. In our number 4 spot, we have one that just happened the other day. A Russian YouTuber named Stanislav Reshetnikov has been arrested and is being investigated for the death of his girlfriend Valentina. On a live stream, Stanislav was offered $1,000 to lock Valentina outside in the freezing cold. Unfortunately, he decided to do this and things really escalated. Valentina ended up passing away due to hypothermia after being left outside. Stanislav continued the live stream even after he had discovered what happened to her, and it saw him calling the paramedics, them showing up and pronouncing her dead, and then apparently continued on for another 2 hours after that. His YouTube account has of course been terminated for a multitude of reasons, and he remains in police custody as they finish conducting their investigation. In our number 3 spot, we have Pablo Benua and Ray Utami. These Indonesian YouTubers post interview videos with different celebrities on YouTube, but they have recently been arrested and sentenced for what one of their 2019 videos contained. In an interview with an actor, the pair asked about his ex-wife named Firuz. The actor then made derogatory comments about her and disclosed some extremely personal information, to which Pablo and Ray were laughing and acting disgusted. Of course, once Firuz saw this, she was rightfully upset and filed for defamation. Earlier this year, Firuz saw some justice carried out when her ex-husband was sentenced to 2 years and 4 months, Pablo was sentenced to 1 year and 8 months, and Ray was sentenced to 1 year and 4 months. This obviously came as a huge relief to Firuz, as she posted on Instagram after all 3 were sentenced about her gratitude for the decision. In our number 2 spot today, we have Ryan Stone. In 2014, the YouTuber Ryan Stone led police on an incredibly dangerous high-speed chase that lasted over an hour, traveled over 60 miles, and critically injured a state trooper. Ryan had stolen a vehicle from a gas station that had a 4-year-old boy in the back seat. He ended up also stealing 2 other vehicles and hit a state trooper going 90 miles per hour. It has been said that Ryan may have been under the influence of drugs and was struggling with addiction at the time, which may have possibly led to this erratic and dangerous behavior, but others suggest that some disrespectful remarks he has made about the situation have shown him as being unremorseful. Ryan was sentenced in 2015 to 160 years in prison, but will likely become eligible for probation in 75 years, which would make him 102 years old. In our number 1 spot today, we have LensCap Productions. LensCap Productions was a YouTuber who liked to review anime content. His real name is Trey Eric Sessler, and he quickly became one of the largest anime review channels, but things took an extremely dark turn in 2012. Trey made a plan to kill 70 people at his high school's pep rally. This plan plan fortunately didn't end up being completed, but Trey did end up killing his own family. He said that he did it so that they would be spared from knowing his ultimate plan that never ended up being carried out. It is an unbelievably tragic situation that ended up giving Trey a life sentence in prison. There were a lot of people who originally thought that maybe he might even receive the death penalty since he lives in Texas where it is legal, but that did not happen. Trey has asked for his parole opportunities to be taken away because he said he doesn't trust himself outside of prison. Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have Matthew Wayne. We have all had quite the year trying to adjust to the differences we are currently facing, but some people certainly have an easier time adjusting than others. Matthew Wayne is a small British YouTuber who posts videos of himself playing paintball, but he found himself in some hot water earlier this year. For some reason, Matthew decided it would be a good idea to film himself calling in a bomb threat to a hospital. Apparently, he was upset at some treatment he had received closer to the beginning of the global spread of the coronavirus and thought that it was an appropriate way to deal with his feelings about it. During the phone call, Matthew allegedly referred to himself as a YouTuber, made a ton of accusations towards the staff, and apparently also made a racist remark. I can totally understand being frustrated, but this really takes it to another level. Shockingly, Matthew was only sentenced to 12 weeks and a few small fines. Let's hope this was enough for him to have learned his lesson. In our number 9 spot today, we have Kangwa Ren. Before I dive into this one, guys, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up if you're enjoying the video so far, because it really helps us out. Kangwa Ren, who is better known as his YouTube name Reset, makes gaming videos and has over 1 million subscribers on his channel. In 2017, he made a video that saw him remove the cream filling from an Oreo, replace it with toothpaste, and then give it to an unsuspecting homeless man who later threw up. When people began to give him backlash for this video, he removed it and instead put up another video of him giving the same man a $20 bill, as if that's compensation enough. The judge in this case certainly took into consideration the fact that he had made more than $2,000 on this video alone, so the measly offer of $20 was most certainly insufficient. The court decided on a 15-month sentence and a fine of $20,000, as well as a 5-year YouTube ban. It is unclear if Reset ended up actually heading off to serve his sentence or not, but his channel hasn't been posted on since August of this year. In our number 8 spot, we have Austin Jones. Austin Jones was a YouTube musician who started on the platform all the way back in 2007. Last year, Austin was sentenced to 10 years in prison for soliciting underage girls for photos and videos. The complaints started in 2015, and in 2017 he was arrested. He ended up pleading guilty and admitted to using different platforms such as Facebook and iMessage. The 10-year sentence comes from him pleading guilty on one count of the things that he was accused of. Initially, his YouTube account was demonetized once the allegations came to light, but it was quickly removed entirely following the guilty plea. In our number 7 spot today, we have Ruslan Sokolovsky. Okay, this one is kind of crazy. Russian YouTuber and law student Ruslan Sokolovsky is facing jail time because he was playing Pokemon Go in church. He had filmed himself playing the game and a few weeks later was awoken in his apartment by the police coming in to arrest him. Apparently this is a crime in Russia because it is obviously offensive to the people who were there to worship. I completely agree that it was extremely rude and distasteful for him to pull this kind of a stunt, but 5 years in jail for playing Pokemon Go does seem kind of insane. Like, Matthew Wayne called in a bomb threat to a hospital and got a significantly lighter sentence. After Ruslan was arrested, he was on house arrest for a while and is banned from speaking to anyone other than his lawyer and the people who are investigating him. This arrest is seen as very controversial and has a lot of people discussing freedom of speech laws. While I'm not exactly sure if there has been an official sentencing or not, Ruslan is facing 5 years in prison for this offense. In our number 6 spot, we have Billy Altidore and Ivani Lewis. Billy Altidore and Ivani Lewis are the YouTube couple who run their channel called Beam Squad. The pair post videos of them and their family doing challenges and pranks and just talking about their daily lives. Last year, the couple was arrested and charged for fraud, which they of course documented on their YouTube channel. According to court documents, the pair used stolen identities to create fake bank accounts and debit cards. The pair then used personal information that they had stolen in order to access the Social Security Administration website, where they then made direct benefit payments into their new fake bank accounts. There were allegedly 1,400 people whose benefits they tried to access, and of course some were successful and some were not. After this, the couple then used stolen personal information to file false tax returns and again directed the false tax returns into their fake bank accounts. Of course, they were eventually found out, which is what led to their arrest. They both pleaded guilty, and Billy was sentenced to 2 years, while Ivani was sentenced to 1 year and 1 day. And they were also fined close to $94,000 in restitution. Billy has since gone away to serve his time, but because of the fact that they have kids, Ivani will be waiting to serve her time until Billy is back and able to take care of the kids. Their channel continues to grow and gain subscribers and sees around 12 uploads a month. In our number 5 spot today, we have Daniel Silva. Daniel is a YouTuber and tattoo artist who may be better known for his time on the tattoo competition show Ink Master. Daniel uploads videos of him tattooing and having conversations with celebrities, influencers, and athletes. Things took a really sad turn for Daniel earlier this year though. On May 10th, Daniel was speeding his 2020 McLaren 600 LT with his friend and famous YouTuber Corey LeBerry in the passenger seat when he accidentally lost control of the vehicle and ended up crashing into a stop sign and tree. This crash ended up taking the life of Corey. Daniel was then arrested and ended up pleading no contest in July. In August, he was sentenced to 364 days in jail as well as 5 years of probation, 250 hours of community service, and if he fails to comply with any of his probation terms, he'll be facing a 4-year prison sentence. Daniel has actually since been released from prison, but his YouTube and Instagram accounts both remain inactive. In our number 4 spot today, we have Ferdian Paleka. Earlier this year, the YouTuber was arrested after posting an extremely transphobic video. The video showed him handing fake aid packages to trans women that were actually filled with bricks and garbage and rotten vegetables. Of course, this video came under immediate fire for its disturbing content, and Ferdian responded by posting a fake apology video. He was charged with online defamation under the Information and Electronic Transactions Act, which carries a maximum 4-year prison sentence, as well as deliberately breaking the law and bringing harm to others, which is punishable by up to 12 years in prison under the same law. After Ferdian's arrest, there were videos posted that quickly went viral of him being ordered around to do embarrassing tasks by other inmates. The videos received comments from his parents about how much it angered them to see their child being humiliated publicly. They are absolutely right, because that is not okay, but it sure is ironic. Luckily for Ferdian, the trans women that he victimized have decided to drop the charges against him, so he ended up being released from police custody earlier this year. But of course not before he made a snide comment that he was more comfortable in his jail cell rather than in his car before driving off. Hopefully this was just an ill-timed joke and he has learned his lesson, because things truly could have been a lot different for him. His YouTube channel remains active with just under 300,000 subscribers. In our number 3 spot today, we have Andre Pies. Andre is a Russian YouTuber with roughly 800,000 subscribers who posts videos of himself exploring abandoned sites and bunkers. He was arrested in August for allegedly obtaining and spreading state secrets. He has yet to face trial, but he is still in police custody and could potentially receive up to 8 years if he is found guilty. It is unclear if Andre plans to plead guilty or not to the charges against him. His lawyer has said that the charges are not linked to any of his social media posts, but some people speculate differently because of the fact that there is a suspicious anonymous comment on one of his Instagram posts. The post was from when Andre gained access to a functioning radar system that Russia uses for its nuclear strike early warning system, and the comment was promising him that big trouble was coming his way, which is super ominous. As of right now, his channel is still up, but it hasn't been posted on since an almost 3-hour live stream on August 2nd, where he apparently speaks about his legal issues, but unfortunately I can't speak Russian and the English captions aren't so great, so I have no idea what exactly he is saying. In our number 2 spot today, we have Anthony Locke. Anthony Locke, who's better known as his YouTube name Gas Kings, was a YouTuber who posted car videos. He has almost 700,000 subscribers, and his most viewed YouTube video has 7.7 million views. In 2018, Anthony went to trial over a scamming scheme. According to the court, Anthony and his partner Ray decided to set up a fake website in order to scam people out of their pensions. The website claimed that you could sign up and invest your pension funds, and that half would most definitely be returned back to you, but the other half would be invested into different eco-friendly firms, which ended up not being true at all. Instead, Anthony took the money from pensioners and spent it on expensive cars. If stealing people's money wasn't bad enough already, apparently some of the victims were already in financial turmoil, which certainly just makes the matters worse. Anthony stole close to £1 million and was charged with 23 counts of fraud and 3 counts of money laundering, which landed him a 5-year sentence. In our number 1 spot today, we have German Abraham Loera Acosta. German was a small but mighty YouTuber. He would put out motivational messages for his subscribers to view and was known for his catchphrase, "I think the mind is the only thing that limits us." While this may be true and potentially some great advice, things really took a turn for this guy. In February of 2018, the 25-year-old YouTuber was part of a group in a scheme that devised a plan to kidnap a woman named Talia Dennis, who is a lawyer, and hold her hostage for ransom. The YouTuber rented a house where Talia was held captive and demanded 2 million pesos in Bitcoin in exchange for her safe return. Well, it didn't exactly work out as planned. The police rescued Talia 2 days after her kidnapping, and boy am I glad that she was uninjured, although I'm sure that would have been a super traumatic thing to have to live through. All of the men who were involved have been arrested, and just this year German received his sentence of 50 years in prison, as well as a fine of 500,000 pesos. I'm glad that the kidnapping and ransom of Talia was obviously taken very seriously.
Starting off this countdown, we have Pratima Mandal. TikTok influencer Pratima disappeared after performing a show in Delhi on January 2nd in 2020. That was also the last day she spoke to her husband. After that, her phone was switched off and never turned back on. Her husband alerted the authorities after she hadn't returned from Delhi. Apparently on January 15th, she had another show, but in a different location. Of course, she didn't show up to the show. Now that's all the information we know. Pratima is still missing, and we don't know what happened to her after her show on January 2nd. It's also hard to come up with theories as to what may have happened to her because there's hardly any information about her case online. In our 9th spot, we have Lisa Nova. And guys, here's just your little friendly reminder to hit that thumbs up button because it really helps us out. Lisa Nova, or Lisa Donovan, created her YouTube channel back in 2006 and used it as a platform to post her comedy sketches on. Shortly after launching her channel, a casting director from Mad TV saw one of her videos and asked her to audition for the show. In 2007, she made her appearance on a sketch in the show. In 2011, she just stopped making YouTube videos. She hasn't been heard from since. Besides her random cameo in the 2015 movie The Wedding Ringer, seems like she's just moved on from her YouTube sketch comedy days. In our 8th spot, we have Casper Przybylski, and I'm so sorry, I know I pronounced his name wrong. So he was a 22-year-old Belgian YouTuber, but on October 23rd, 2020, he disappeared without a trace. On the day, he left his parents' home around 4. That was the last time he was ever seen. He went missing for a week. Police had no leads and no one knew where he was. Sadly, a fisherman was out fishing in a canal one morning when he saw a body in the water. It was later found to be Casper's. There was no indication of foul play, so they believe he jumped into the river and took his own life. Sadly, that's all the information we know on this case. Coming in at number 7, we have Asenna O'Neal. Asenna O'Neal was an Instagram influencer before people even knew what that was. She grew up on Instagram. She joined the platform when she was only 14, and by 19 she was getting paid for her posts, and being an influencer was her full-time job. But in 2015, she left all of her social media accounts behind. On YouTube, there is now only 3 videos up. The last one is titled Why I Really Am Quitting. Now, people originally thought that her online disappearance was just a publicity stunt and that she would be back in a couple of weeks. But no, she abandoned it for good. She disappeared completely off of social media. In our 6th spot, we have Kenny Veach. Kenny Veach was a pretty famous YouTuber back in the day, and he was a pretty big urban explorer influencer. He was known for his YouTube channel Snake Bit McGee. On November 10th, 2014, Kenny disappeared without a trace. he told his family he was going on a trip to the mountains in Nevada, but he never returned home. Now here's where it gets strange. 1 month prior to this adventure, Kenny discovered a cave in the Mojave Desert, which he shared on his YouTube channel. In the video, Kenny claims that he found this hidden cave with the opening in the shape of an M. He is known to cave explore, but said that when he entered the cave, it began to vibrate and he got really scared. He claimed that it was one of the strangest things to happen to him. But Kenny was intrigued and wanted to eventually go back and explore the cave. When Kenny did go on his journey back there, that was the last time he was ever seen. Now, since the desert is so big and filled with a number of caves, it was hard to figure out what cave Kenny was referring to. As a result, search parties never located him. The only thing they did find was Kenny's cell phone near a mine shaft about a week later after he disappeared. Nothing else has surfaced, and Kenny's disappearance still remains a huge mystery. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Hannah Minks. Hannah Minks, or Hannah Wagner, was known for cosplaying as anime characters, and sometimes she would provide her audience with some Japanese lessons. She was doing pretty well for herself and had quite a loyal following. But in 2013, she disappeared without a trace. The last video she uploaded onto her YouTube was a video from San Diego Comic-Con in 2013. Then, that was it. She was gone from all social media platforms. Fans were worried for her. In fact, there was a story going around that she was kidnapped or had passed away. I mean, she left without even saying goodbye. It was just all of a sudden with no warning signs. But apparently she is now actually married with children. So I guess she just got tired of YouTube and moved on. Moving on to number 4, we have Paul Zimmer. Okay, this next case is crazy. So basically, back in the day, there was a famous Musical.ly star known as Paul Zimmer. Over the course of a few years, he got millions of followers on Musical.ly. But in 2018, he got into a pretty big scandal and was accused of scamming his audience and taking their money. As a result, he basically disappeared off of the face of the earth. Then out of nowhere in 2020, he comes back and posts about how he has this lookalike, some actor named Troy Becker. He then tells all his followers he's given over his social media account to Troy because he didn't just want his page to die. Then Paul disappeared without a trace and Troy took his spot. Here's the thing, Paul is Troy. He's just making it seem like Troy is just someone else that looks identical to him. But fans weren't fooled by this. Seems like he created Troy as a way to escape his past, yet still remain in the spotlight. That's just kinda messed up. But Paul is gone forever and now it's all about Troy. In our 3rd spot, we have Marina Joyce. Marina Joyce was a pretty popular beauty blogger from London, but in 2016, fans noticed that she was acting fairly strange in her YouTube videos. In one video titled Date Outfit Ideas, you can see that Marina does not seem like herself and she's acting fairly strange.
Hey guys, so today I'm advertising Style You and I'm advertising their clothes. So this is me just advertising their clothes, and yeah, I love you guys so much. It's the clothing company that I'm advertising.
Many believe that she had been kidnapped. In fact, in one of the videos, fans noticed that there was a gun in the background. In another video, she had bruises all over her arms. And in another one, she whispered, "Help me." Then in 2019, she went missing without a trace. Now, she was only missing for 10 days, but we don't know where Marina went, disappeared to, and why. In our 2nd spot, we have Alexis Sharkey. Last year, 26-year-old Instagram influencer Alexis Sharkey disappeared after spending Thanksgiving with her friends in Houston. The next day, her family was notified that she was missing. No one had heard from her for over 24 hours, and her family and friends were growing concerned. They immediately got police involved, but they were unable to locate Alexis. No one knew where she went. She just disappeared without a trace. That was until a sanitation worker saw something strange at the side of the road. It was Alexis's bare body. That was the last thing anyone wanted. They all prayed to find her alive. After months of waiting, police finally revealed that her cause of death was by strangulation. Sadly, her killer hasn't been caught. And in our number 1 spot, we have Jessica Steen. Jessica Steen was a well-known Instagram model. She shared travel and fashion posts and posted something on Instagram almost every day. So fans were quite worried when all of a sudden the posts stopped. Since January 4th of 2020, there has been no signs of Jessica. She has millions of followers. It's quite strange that she would just abandon her page like that. Now, Jessica did share pictures of her young daughter who suffers from a rare chromosomal abnormality, so fans think her absence might have something to do with her daughter. On her post, people are commenting saying things like, "It's been a long time since you've been on IG. I hope you and your family are well." They are concerned something bad has happened to her. Now, starting off at number 10, we have the Teen Town Explorers. Apparently, urban exploration has had a big impact on teens because in this town it happens quite often. In July of 2018, two young boys in Northampton decided to explore underneath their town. After exploring for a while, they found themselves lost in a maze of drains. Now, Northampton's sewer system is actually known to be quite complicated, and it's referred to as caverns. After being lost in there for several hours, they were rescued. Thankfully, this rescue team was able to locate their whereabouts and help them out of the tunnels. Bad news is, they didn't smell the greatest after all this happened. In our 9th spot, we have the French cave explorer. Eric Estebly was a 45-year-old diver known for his cave explorations. He had an ongoing mission to complete a map of the Ardèche Gorge's underground tunnel system. Apparently, Eric went missing for over a week. A rescue team composed of divers went out looking for Eric. They hoped that Eric would be found alive, as an expert reported that he would have been able to last at least 15 days underwater if he had sufficient air. However, sadly that was not the case for Eric and he drowned. Since Eric was an established diver, people don't know what happened. Did he get lost? Did he have trouble escaping the cave? No one knows. For number 8, we have the Belgian explorers. Last year, 3 Belgian explorers aged 30 to 40 years old went into the Rubicara Mortora de Estrana cave complex in Cantabria, Spain. While exploring underground, they became disoriented and lost their bearings. When this team had been missing for over 12 hours, the authorities were called in. Specialized cave explorers were then called in to go and find these missing explorers. Now, this news report gives no additional information after that. We don't know if the team had been found and rescued. Bringing in number 7, we have the Wiltshire Explorers. This group of explorers got lost in a mine. How? Well, it was because of a very, interesting circumstance. These explorers were searching the abandoned box mine in Wiltshire, England. This mine is filled with 100 feet deep tunnels. After exploring for several hours, they realized that they were lost. The reason for them becoming lost? Well, the arrows in the mine were all vandalized over with pictures of the male downstairs region. These explorers went missing for almost a day before stumbling upon an area in the mine with cell phone reception. From there, they were able to request for help. At number 6, we have the Paris Catacomb Explorers. The Paris Catacombs are a series of tunnels located under Paris, France. In the 18th century, the catacombs were created when the Paris cemeteries were full and they needed a place to bury the dead. As a result, they buried the dead underground in this series of tunnels. There is approximately 150 miles of tunnels in a maze-like fashion, making it extremely easy to get lost. Now, a portion of these tunnels are still accessible today and have attracted a number of explorers. This was the case for 2 teenage boys. The 16 and 17-year-old boys snuck illegally into the tunnels to the section that was blocked off from the public. And for a good reason too. Not only is it extremely easy for you to get lost with the numerous pathways, but there are also 6 million people buried there. This will definitely make you super uneasy while exploring. These boys were missing for 3 full days. Finally, the authorities, along with their team of rescue dogs, found the boys in the tunnel. Thankfully, they both survived, only suffering from hypothermia. It could have ended much worse. In our 5th and halfway spot, we have the Ghost Town Explorers. Now, what's scarier than a ghost town? A haunted ghost town. Back in 2019, 3 explorers by the name of Vignesh, Kashvishka, and Mohammed. These explorers were all in their early 20s and they went for an adventure to explore the ghost town in United Arab Emirates. This ghost town was located in the middle of a desert, which made it hard for them to get to. In fact, their car was having trouble driving in the thick sand, so they abandoned it and continued the journey by foot. I mean, even I could have told them how bad of an idea that was. However, they successfully located the town and explored the empty homes, some of which were still completely furnished. As night approached, they all started to get an uneasy feeling and decided to head back to their car. That was until they couldn't locate it. I guess they couldn't have just used their keys to beep for their car. That's what I do when I forget where I parked. Does anyone else do that? They stated that all of the sand dunes started to look the same and they didn't know what direction to travel in. Eventually, they were able to contact the police for help, who were able to locate their car, and they made sure that they got home safely. In our 4th spot, we have the Rock House Mine Explorers. This next story shows that even when you travel in a group, the outcome can still be quite scary. Erica Tidway, Kayla Williams, and Cody Beverly were all young adults who set out to explore the Rock House Powellton Mine in the town of Clear Creek, Virginia. Now, to get into this abandoned mine, they had to crawl through a small ventilation shaft in the mine. While exploring this mine, it is said that they got lost and were walking around in the pitch black. When these individuals did not return home, a search party was sent out for them. These explorers were missing for 5 days when they were found inside the mines. Erica was found first, separated from her 2 friends, and 30 minutes later, Kayla and Cody were found together. After this, a statement was released warning urban explorers to stop entering abandoned mines. Please guys, stop going there. They're very dangerous. Coming in at number 3, we have the Odessa Catacombs. Now, let's travel over to the city of Odessa in the Ukraine. Odessa is known for their labyrinth-type tunnels that are under their city, similar to the Paris catacombs. Now, little information is actually available on these catacombs or the next story. Around New Year's, a group of friends, including a young girl named Masha, went out to the catacombs. It is said that they were looking for treasure and also may have been drinking that night. Now, these catacombs are fairly dangerous, as some sections flood with water, others have collapsing ceilings, and some are just completely dismantled. Apparently, the teens stayed down there all night, and in the morning when they went to head home, Masha was nowhere to be found. They believe that she may have wandered to a different location in the tunnels. She was missing for more than 4 months until a group of boys came across what they thought could be Masha. This image is actually fairly graphic. However, that body was never analyzed or confirmed to be hers. In our 2nd spot, we have the mystery of Kenny Veach. Kenny Veach was an urban explorer who often posted about his journeys on YouTube on his channel Snakebit McGee. He loved hiking and being outdoors. On November 10th, 2014, Kenny disappeared. He told his family he was going on a trip to the mountains in Nevada. 1 month prior to this adventure, Kenny discovered a cave in the Nevada desert, which he shares on his YouTube channel. Kenny states that he found a hidden cave with an opening of the shape of an M. He is known to cave explore, but he said that when he entered this cave, he began to vibrate and got very scared. He claimed that it was one of the strangest things that have ever happened to him. But Kenny was intrigued and wanted to eventually explore that cave. When Kenny did go back to that cave, that was the last time he was ever seen. Since the desert is so big and filled with caves, it was hard to figure out what cave Kenny was referring to in his video. As a result, search parties never located him. The only thing that they did find was Kenny's cell phone near a mine shaft about a week later after he disappeared. Nothing else has surfaced, and Kenny's disappearance still remains a huge mystery. And in our number 1 spot, we have the Unidentified Explorer. Now, the Paris catacombs once again show their complexity and darkness with this explorer. Now, unlike the other explorers, this man was never even identified. No one knows who he is or what actually happened. So basically, around 1990, an old dusty moldy camcorder was found in the Paris catacombs. Although the camera appeared to have been there for a while, the footage on it was still accessible and very disturbing. This man can be seen exploring the catacombs. This black and white video starts off in a calm manner as he wanders around the maze looking at bones and even picking up a skull and analyzing it. However, the video takes a twist when he encounters a painting of a figure on the wall with their limbs spread apart. After this discovery, the man becomes more frantic, and we don't know why. People think maybe he realized that he was lost, or he felt like something ghostly was following him. Either way, this footage is very disturbing as he is filming his final moments. The video eventually cuts off, and the whereabouts of this man are unknown. Starting off this countdown, we have Reset. Reset, otherwise known as Kangua Ren, had his YouTube shut down in 2019 for posting a very controversial and disturbing video. So he decided it was a good idea to fill an Oreo cookie with toothpaste and then give it to a homeless man. He filmed this whole thing, including catching the man vomiting after. During the video, he made rude comments like, "This will help clean his teeth," and "I don't think he has cleaned them since he became poor." This little prank actually got him sentenced to 15 months in prison, and he was ordered to pay his victim $22,000 in moral damages. He also can't use YouTube or any other social media platform for 5 years. At one point, he was under house arrest while the case was being debated. In our 9th spot, we have Jake Paul, and just a friendly reminder, hit that thumbs up button because you know what, it really helps us out. A couple of months ago, the FBI raided Jake Paul's mansion and everyone was shocked. What was this YouTube star hiding? Police were captured carrying out several guns from his place. Apparently it had to do with the looting that took place during the George Floyd riots. As this was happening, rumor has it that Paul was under house arrest for a couple of days, probably to keep him out of the way while police and investigators did their thing. In our 8th spot, we have Ruslan Sokolovsky. This YouTuber was jailed after filming himself playing Pokemon Go in a church in Russia. The video was uploaded to YouTube, and a few weeks later he was arrested. The video was said to be a crime because it's offensive to the people that worship the church, and in fact apparently there's a law that limits free speech in religious places. So he violated that law by questioning the existence of Jesus and the Prophet Muhammad, which he did in his YouTube video. For now, he is being kept under house arrest. He's not allowed to leave the house or use his phone or the internet, and he may be facing up to 5 years in prison for this. Moving on, number 7, we have Lil Mar. Lil Mar, or Lamar Cruz, was a rapper and YouTuber born and raised in Seattle, Washington. He joined YouTube back in May of 2014 and has over 400,000 channel views. But in 2019, him and his friend were arrested after assaulting a girl in a Walmart parking lot. Now, there isn't much about this case because it's still ongoing, but Lamar is currently on house arrest awaiting his trial. If found guilty, there is a possibility of him serving jail time. Coming in at number 6, we have Premier. In this case, this YouTuber, dancer, rapper, actress, and singer didn't do anything against the law. She's under house arrest for her own safety. She posted a video on March 15th this year basically telling her audience that she's under house arrest because of the pandemic. Obviously, her mom is super worried for her safety, so Premier and her sister are both being homeschooled, and she said she could no longer go out to see friends. She was annoyed at this in the video, but later on she said that she agrees with her mom's decision in the video's description box. She then encouraged her fans to talk to their families about also staying inside. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Olivia Jade. I'm sure you all have heard by now the college admissions scandal surrounding YouTuber Olivia Jade, her sister, and her parents. Well, while this was going down and her family was under fire, the whole family kind of were under house arrest, mainly to avoid being out in public eye. So for several months, Olivia laid low, not really posting on social media and certainly not posting on YouTube. Now finally she is slowly trying to make a return to YouTube. Moving on to number 4, we have J Station. Wow, 2020 has been a long year. Like, I totally forgot this scandal happened this year. So in January of 2020, Jason, aka I'm J Station on YouTube, uploaded a video titled "My Girlfriend Alexia Has Died, Rest in Paradise." Of course, this wasn't the case, and Jason had made this video as a ploy to pick up new followers for his second channel. He had planned to do a "Contact My Girlfriend from the Dead with a Ouija board" video, which he did, but then he planned on resurrecting her. Again, all for views. But along the way, his plan failed and Alexia left him. She also filed a police report on him saying that he assaulted her. After police came to his place, he claims he wasn't allowed to leave or else he would have been arrested. So for a brief period of time, Jason was under house arrest. And at number 3, we have Steven Fernandez. Steven Fernandez, otherwise known as Even Steven Baby Scumbag, or Lil Cloud, got his fame for being a professional skateboarder. His YouTube channel often contained videos of him boarding. But in 2015, when Steven was only 15 years old, he got arrested after he was caught exploiting young girls. Basically, he was involved in getting girls to do certain acts with him and older men. In return, he promised them fame or meeting big celebrities, so he used his platform and his title as a YouTuber to manipulate young girls. Eventually, police caught him and the two men he had been running the scheme with. Since Steven was a minor, he was given an ankle tracker and house arrest in his mother's house. In our second spot, we have Austin Jones. On June 12, 2017, YouTuber Austin Jones was arrested for grooming young girls. Austin was known mainly for his music that he uploaded on YouTube. He had hundreds of thousands of followers and even toured around the world. But this all came crashing down when he was caught for having intimate conversations with young girls. He would ask them to do things like to take off their clothes and then dance for him. When he was arrested, he was given house arrest until his court hearing after being able to post a $100,000 bond. Then in 2019, after his court hearing, he was given permission again to remain under house arrest until going to prison a month later, which he remains until December 31st, 2027. And in our number one spot, we have Mona Lisa Perez. What started off as a daring stunt turned horribly wrong. In 2018, Perez's boyfriend asked her to shoot him while he held out a hardcover book in front of his chest. He believed that the book would stop the bullet. In fact, they tested the stunt out before with another book and it worked. So they both believed the stunt would be safe and then it would go viral. Sadly, this wasn't the case, and the bullet went through the book and into his chest. He passed away on the way to the hospital. Perez was then charged with 6 months in prison after she pled guilty to second-degree manslaughter. She spent 90 days behind bars and then 90 days under house arrest.